In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Hello, everybody. Hope you are doing great. You're watching FOADEBATE. In the wake of the recent ceasefire in Gaza, many questions have emerged about the implications of these agreements and its impact on both regional and global security. This agreement is not merely seen as a short-term solution to ease tensions in Gaza. It could also represent a potential long-term resolution. Additionally, it may signal larger shifts in the Middle East, especially in relation to Iran. In this interview, I intend to delve into various aspects of the ceasefire and its possible repercussions. To facilitate this discussion, I have invited Professor Wilmer Leon, a distinguished scholar and analyst in political science and international relations. Thank you so much for joining us, Professor Leon. It's truly an honor to have you again.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and it's an honor to be back. Thank you.
You're welcome. To start, let's explore the processes that led to this agreement being introduced by someone like Trump. Did international pressure on Israeli actions play a significant role in this development?
Yes, I believe that international pressure did play a significant role on forcing Netanyahu and the ultra conservatives in the Knesset to this place. I think one can't ignore the impact that the shift in global perspective has played, as we see protests in France, protests in Italy, protests all over Europe, protests on college campuses in the United States. I think that seeing this dramatic shift in global perspective, support for the BDS movement increasing, all of these things I think played a significant role in bringing the Zionist state to the table. But also I think it's important to see that I think Israel greatly underestimated the resilience of the resistance movement. And, we had always been told for years about the Israeli Defense Force being this insurmountable military force. And I think that they found that they needed this deal at as much, if not more, than the Palestinians needed the deal.
Yeah, sure. And some argue that the ceasefire in Gaza can be interpreted as a political win for the resistant front. What are your thoughts on it?
That's an interesting question. I think it depends on which side of the so-called deal that you want to look at. Aid is now flowing back into the region, even though Israel is still controlling the amount of aid and not allowing the aid that is truly needed in the region. But aid is returning. I think anytime there are fewer bullets being shot and fewer missiles being fired, that's a good thing. And up to today, Hamas has not disarmed. So I think that there are a number of very positive elements that one can see here for the Palestinian people, for Hamas in the immediate term. I think the question is, and I don't know that anyone can ever answer this because we can't predict the future, where is this going to lead? Which is why I don't really categorize this as a peace plan, because I don't see a plan. What does this mean for the right of return? What does this mean for settlements in the West Bank? What does this mean for settlements in East Jerusalem? I think there are so many questions here that have yet to be answered, that projecting the future for this, I think, is an incredibly difficult thing to do.
Donald Trump has asserted that this agreement will usher in a strong, lasting, and enduring peace. How credible do you find this claim? Is it merely rhetoric akin to past statements, with the reality likely to unfold differently?
I don't think that I don't think that there are many things that Donald Trump says that can be trusted. This is one of them. Again, this really seems, to your point, to be more personally gratifying rhetoric than anything that reflects a substantive reality. Again, because this is called a 20-point peace plan, but where's the plan? There's no timeline. How do you hold the parties accountable if either or both of the parties violate the agreement? What does this say about Palestinian sovereignty? What about the right to return? What about in the what seems to be a continued desire to build more settlements on Palestinian territory? This really, to me, appears to be more along the lines of the Minsk Accords that were agreed to in Ukraine between the Ukraine and Russia, where former German Chancellor Angela Merkel told us, oh, they never intended to uphold and execute the Minsk Accords, that this was merely a opportunity to buy time, to rearm, to retrain, to provide rest for the Ukrainian troops so that they could later go in and reinvade Russia. Angela Merkel was very clear. We were lying. We had no intention of seeing this to fruition. So, and then following along the same lines, President Putin said about Donald Trump's last so-called peace offer, he said, you can't have peace unless you deal with the fundamental elements that caused the unrest in the first place. And I don't see any of that anywhere in anything that Donald Trump has written or that Donald Trump has said.
Yeah. As you mentioned some important things, I'd like to hear your insight on the governance of Gaza following the ceasefire. Which Palestinian groups or other entities are likely to take charge post-conflict, and what influence will the Israeli governments and the U.S. retain? Will Israel aim to maintain security control over Gaza after the conflict concludes?
I don't understand how anyone can honestly negotiate with an entity that has sworn to eliminate, ethnically cleanse the other entity. So the only answer that I can provide to your question about what are Israel's plans going forward are yes. If a sovereign Palestine is not established, and part of being sovereign is the ability to govern, to control, and to defend a defined geographic space, if that is not incorporated into this so-called plan, all it is a plan for failure and a plan for further oppression of the Palestinians. And I don't see anything in the history of the Zionist state over the last 60 years that shows me that they have any interest, any inkling, any desire to provide for a sovereign Palestinian state. I don't see any evidence to support that argument.
Sure. And
does that answer your question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. And how can we assess the impact of the ceasefire or agreement on the future strategies of the resistant front and Palestinian groups? Does this agreement provide them with more strength, or does it undermine them?
Honestly, I don't know enough about the intricacies of Hamas and some of the other factions to be able to intelligently answer that question. I think you'd be better served talking to Laith Marouf or someone who's much more familiar with the interworkings of this and the on the ground details of this than I have too much respect for you and for your show to just give you some superficial off the top of my head
Thank you.
response.
Thank you so much. It doesn't matter. You're so humble. It's your
No, well,
modesty.
you're too kind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Let's jump to to Iran issue. Actually, could the Gaza ceasefire be viewed as a strategy to alleviate pressure on Israel while intensifying pressure on Iran and the resistant front? More specifically, if I wanted to, open another door and paraphrase my question, is there a chance that this agreement could be a precursor to military action against Iran?
I think you would be incredibly remiss and incredibly optimistic to think otherwise. That yes, the answer to your question is yes.
Absolutely yes.
Absolutely yes. And this goes back to the comparison I was drawing with Angela Merkel's comments regarding the Minsk Accords and the fact that they were merely trying to buy time to rearm, to retrain, to refocus. And I think that I'm not saying this is going to happen, but history tells me that this is part of the longer term objective as well. Iran didn't go to the summit in Egypt.
Yes.
I'm not even sure that they were honestly invited. Representatives of Hamas were not there. Netanyahu didn't go. Now, I believe he didn't go, but this is beyond your question, but I think he didn't go because Egypt is a signatory to the International Criminal Court, a Rome statute, and he was afraid of being arrested since there is an arrest warrant for him. This whole thing about I'm not traveling over the holiday, Donald Trump proclaimed this to be the greatest moment in the history of the region, and you're going to stay home because you don't want to travel on the holiday? I'm not buying that one. So when I don't see the major players in the conflict at the summit in Egypt, that tells me we need to ask why. And those were very clear signals to me that I don't think Hamas sees this for what it's being sold as, and I don't think Iran sees this for what it's being sold as, and they have very good reason to view it that way.
Sure. Thank you so much. In closing, if there are any additional points you would like to address, I'm eager to hear them.
Well, I think you're 2 points. One, in the West, this is framed as a war. I don't believe it's a war because I interpret war to be a conflict, a military conflict between two equal adversaries. This is a resistance movement. And to frame it as a war then makes it very easy to ignore the reality that there's a reason why this region is called the occupied territories. And that is because the Zionist government of Israel is occupying Palestinian land, and they are engaged in a liberation struggle for their freedom. And to characterize this as a war, I think misinterprets, misunderstands, misrepresents the motivations of the parties here. And again, I ask, why did Netanyahu go to Egypt? I don't think the holiday had as much to do with it as his fear of being arrested.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks once again for your time and the valuable insights you have shared. Your analysis will surely enhance understanding within the international community, paving the way for a fairer system free from oppression and domination, inshallah. I look forward to possibility of engaging with you again soon and benefiting from your invaluable perspectives. Until next time, take care and have a great time.
Thank you very much. You do the same.